Good evening, dear friends. It's really difficult to come on the stage after Maria Ressa, but at least I'm wearing the same. So I try to follow her in every way. Maybe it's because we're both 62 years old, actually. But most seriously, it's a real honor to be here tonight to introduce this year's Kofi Annan NextGen Democracy Prize. And with our partners, the Democracy and Culture Foundation, we created this prize, as Achilles has said, to carry forward the vision of Kofi Annan, who reminded us here in Athens 8 years ago, in this very forum, that we must champion democracy always, and that we must never let authoritarians win by abdication. The young people honored through this prize are precisely such champions, and if there is one thing that they have shown us, is that they will never, ever abdicate. Kofi Annan also said, and I quote, "No one is born a good citizen, no nation is born a democracy," end of quote. Citizenship must be learned, nurtured, and practiced. Democracy must be built, defended, and renewed, generation after generation. We cannot take democracy for granted, and as has already been said several times tonight, I'm afraid our generation, my generation, has taken it for granted. This is why this prize focuses on young leaders who are shaping democracy today and for the future. Our first laureate, Namatai Kweza of Zimbabwe, has shown extraordinary courage in confronting repression and mobilizing young people to defend democratic rights. Our second, Momal-Vanian of Namibia, has challenged discrimination and led the fight for equality and inclusion, reminding us that democracy and human rights are inseparable. This year, the prize goes to Julián Sastoque of Colombia. Others will shortly introduce him in detail, but allow me to say that his work embodies the same qualities we saw in Namatai and Omar: resilience, creativity, and an unshakable belief in the power of democratic participation. The prize, which comes with a monetary award and a one-year mentorship, is not only a recognition, but it's also an investment in the imagination and determination of a new generation that refuses to give up on democracy. I would like also to recognize that beyond Namatai and Omar and Julián, who will join me on stage soon, we have 4 other finalists of the 2025 NextGen Democracy Award here in Athens at the Forum this year. And this is extraordinary. I'm so happy that 4 of the finalists are here. Let me just cite them. There's Prince, who comes from Nepal, Erica from Portugal, Nicolene from the Philippines, and Sohee from South Korea. And they really all do an extraordinary job in their respective countries. So I'd like us to give them a round of applause. So now, please join me in celebrating the 2025 Kofi Annan NextGen Democracy Prize and in welcoming the young leaders who continue to show us that the struggle for democracy is alive, is global, and is urgent. Thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. I quote, "This is against international law. The ICJ made a provisional ruling that any attempt to hinder humanitarian mission to Gaza is prohibited by international law. We are complying with the request to make you accountable for the crime of genocide. The ICJ has your Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, under an arrest warrant for the crime of starving children and using starvation and famine as a weapon of war. Therefore, it is our moral duty to continue sailing it is our moral duty to refuse any attempt by an occupying force to control humanitarian aid for the Palestinian people, who have their right to sovereignty, the right to self-determination. We request you to stand down, not commit another war crime, do not engage with our peaceful, non-violent humanitarian solidarity mission for the people in Gaza, end quote. These were the last words of Brazilian activist Thiago Avila, who last night was illegally abducted in international waters by the Israeli occupation forces, along with 500 other citizens from more than 46 countries on board the global Sumud flotillas, the largest humanitarian maritime mission in our history to break the siege in Gaza. And when our governments are complicit to genocide, and while the navies of Spain and Italy have turned their backs on international human rights law, the brave citizens on board the flotilla are our voice. We do not know where they are, we do not know if they are safe, we do not know if they are alive, but they have shown us that when the people are united, they will never be defeated, and that humanity will win when Palestine is free. Like the people on board the flotilla have stood against powerful systems of oppression and fascism and authoritarianism, so too are the change makers recognized by Kofi Annan's legacy, fearless leaders defending democracy. In Zimbabwe, we mobilize communities to protect civic space and hold autocracy to account. In Namibia, we uplift queer voices to resist democratic backsliding against state-sanctioned homophobia. And in Colombia, we empower young people in reconciliation and peace building. Like Kofi Annan, we inspire a generation to believe in the power of inclusive democracy. It is my deepest honor to stand here as the 2024 laureate of the Kofi Annan NextGen Democracy Prize. When Queer Youth of Namibia received the award last year, it was more than a recognition. It was a responsibility. It reminded me that democracy is not inherited, it is defended. It is not given, it is built every day by ordinary citizens with extraordinary courage. From on-board flotillas in the Mediterranean seas heading to break the siege, to queer youth of Namibia fighting for liberation to ring in the halls of the Supreme Court. Defending democracy is not just based on unconditional respect for human rights. It is not a choice, but it is a necessity. And in Namibia, this award gave our youth-led movement the visibility and legitimacy to keep pushing for equality, even in the face of resistance. It opened doors to new allies, and it reminded our people that they are not alone, and that the world is watching, standing with us. The award fueled our petitions that ended up vetoing anti-LGBTQ bills, and the award supported the launch of 2 new civil rights cases, which we are going to win. The award is not just a prize, it is a torch lit by the legacy of Kofi Annan, carried forward by young leaders across continents, and passed from one generation to the next. Holding it for the past year has been both humbling and empowering. Standing on Namaitai's shoulders, whose bravery against arbitrary arrest and police brutality fueled me to believe that fighting for what's right is always worth it. So today, it is my honor to pass that torch to this year's laureate, whose work embodies the same spirit of fearless leadership and commitment to inclusive democracy. May this award continue to inspire us to protect freedom, to nurture dignity, to prove that democracy can be renewed by the energy, vision, and conviction of young people everywhere. So congratulations, my friend Julián. The torch to light up democracy in the spirit of Kofi Annan's legacy is now yours. Thank you.
Good evening, friends. You can respond. Fantastic. So I'm very excited to be here, not only as the inaugural Kofi Annan NextGen Democracy Prize winner, but this time around as a committee member, as part of being the jury that was responsible for this particular selection. I start off with a quote from Kofi Annan, who said that you are never too young to lead, and you must never doubt your capacity to triumph for others if not. And the person that we are going to be presenting this award to is an individual who has triumphed where many have not. The process of this particular selection this year, as in many other years, has been very thorough and rigorous. To my understanding, we had over 100 nominations. So from the time that this award started, the numbers have significantly increased, which is showing the growing popularity of this particular award, but also an indication that we are not in a drought of young people who are doing exceptional work around advancing democracy around the world. Having said that, we had a team of experts who went on to then go through, sift through all of these applications, and they were using the values of this particular award and the values that were embodied in Kofi Annan himself. And from all of these applications, they were narrowed down to 13. Now, of the 13, us, who were the jury and the selection committee, were invited to then go through. And I must say that these were some of the finest nominations we have seen, a clear indication that we are not in a drought of democracy actors and the future is in safe hands. So before I proceed to the next part of the selection process, I just wanted us to give a round of applause to the 13 who were shortlisted. Now, tonight we are focusing on Julián Rodriguez, who is from Colombia, and he is an exceptional young man who was selected particularly because of his impactful, traceable work, because he is a young person who has embodied the values and the ethos of what Kofi Annan stood for, and particularly because he represents a kind and type of courage that is absolutely remarkable and inspiring not only for young people in Colombia, but for young people across the world. Having said that, I would like to say that Julián will gravitate away from what was traditional. What has come before him is that we who are in civil society and who are activists are the previous awardees, but he is an active young politician, and that is an amazing gravitation away from what was traditional. So we are happy for him, who is actively involved in politics and actively involved in ensuring that his community is strengthened, and also he advances the work for young people in his country. I will end by saying that this is a full circle moment, and the legacy of Kofi Annan would definitely be continued. And it is our belief and hope that even as this award continues, we will continuously have more young people who are inspired to act, as we have seen Julián himself acting in his own country. I will stop here for now.
And it is now my honor and my great pleasure to ask Julián, our awardee for this year, to come on stage and receive his award.
The story of Namatai, of Omar, my own story, the story of all nominees, and the story of hundreds and thousands of young leaders around the world has been stories of improbable. Stories of hardship, of effort and persistence, stories of courage that against all odds managed to defend ideas, to mobilize others, and to achieve both small and great victories. Even when it means risks one's life, facing persecution, confronting corruption, and standing up for powerful interest. But these stories must cease to be improbable. It should be the very purpose of democracy to ensure that thousands of young people can embrace leadership as a way of life, without fear, with the necessary guarantees to can defend their causes, the freedom to transform reality and society. This recognition is not only about individual journeys, but about the collective power of a generation that refused to give up on democracy. Around the world, young people are showing that democracy is not an abstract ideal. It's a living practice from the classroom. It's a living practice in the communities, in the streets, and in every space when their voice had to be heard. At the time when democracy's values are under threat, this is a reminder that the future of democracy depends on the courage, the imagination, and the persistence of young leaders everywhere. So we have a huge responsibility, and our creativity is the most important tool to can face the Century 21 challenges. Kalispera, good evening. I wish to express my gratitude for the organizers of this award, the Kofi Annan Foundation, Mr. Corinne and Mr. Declan, the Democracy and Culture Foundation, and its fantastic forum, Mr. Achilles, Mr. Skim. I want to say thank you to the New York Times, to the distinguished jury, to my teammate and soulmate, thank you for being here with me. And of course, to the airfield that I can feel for my peers, my mentors, my family, who have been constant source of strength and encouragement. These recognitions belongs as much to them as it does to me. Because leadership never is a solitary path. It's always sustained by a community. Above all, I want to dedicate this prize and award to the countless young leaders across the globe who continue to rise, often in silence without recognition, to defend freedom, justice, dignity. Your courage and convictions, your dreams transcend borders. This award is in truth a tribute to our resilience and our unbreakable ties of solidarity that connect us in the purpose for a more just and democratic world. Let it be an occasion to speak about my people, the people of Colombia, a mega diverse and beautiful country, a land of majestic mountains, the Amazonas rainforest, of shore washed by both Caribbean and Pacific Ocean, a land of warm people, hardworking and talented, such as Francisco Asilvino from Tejido Rebancá, two fantastic youth entrepreneurs and artisans who made this beautiful, unique handmade coat, a beautiful piece and suit named Ruana in Colombia that is inspired in the clothes that use our peasants and farmers to work every day to protect from cold, but also to keep warm our dreams. It has taken, for me, more than 20 hours to arrive here today, and 29 years, of course. But I come carrying stories worth sharing with you, of a generation determined to shape a different future. In Colombia, young people have historically been protagonists of democratic victories, often in the face of unimaginable adversity, for more than 60 years. 60 years. We face the hard-armed inter-conflict. And this occasion is an important moment to remember, to the victims. 9 million of people were victims of this conflict. A conflict that claimed countless lives, displaced millions, and left deep scars on our society. Entire generations grew up in the shadow of the violence, and young people in Colombia were often both its victims and aggressors. And we are trying to change that part of our story, but it's important. Middle of the victims were under 30 years old. Even in those painful times, young people refused to stay quiet. In the last 35 years, we changed the constitutions 35 years ago. Organized student movements. We demand peace agreements and lead historical protests and mobilization that call for the end of a war and for the truth, the justice, the reconciliation, and the non-repetition of the violence. These achievements, born on the courage and the persistence, are a proof that even in the most difficult circumstances, democracy can be strengthened when youth are at its heart. So let's ask ourselves, if more than half of the world population is under 30, why is that only 2% of the world parliamentarians are under 20? Just the 2% in the goal. Imagine the power we could have. We could shake the world if we want, and if we choose it. This is an unfair reality for our generations. We are underrepresentations, and it's up to change it now. I learned that if we don't make the decisions, someone else will do it. If we don't vote, any other person choose our leaders, and maybe we won't make much sense to complain if we don't vote. And if realize something even bigger, if we don't make politics, if we don't talk about politics, politics will reach into every part of our lives. And I've dedicated the half of my life to activism and leadership, working with communities and with people. But I must say that making the transition from the youth activism, the youth leadership, to the political action, to becoming a politician, really young, has been the greatest challenge of my life. And the question, why I'm doing this? Why I'm in this crazy movie? Is many times inevitable. So please don't go into politics. This is a trap, people say, but I'm just kidding, of course. We can make politics. And it's an opportunity also to remind us, and we talk in this forum about that the human side of the politician is so important as the competence. But the truth is that I will not trade this stage for anything in my life. Activism is deeply inspiring, true, always difficult. But entering into politics without an important last name, without an important family, without traditional political structure, without wealth and a lot of money, it's so complex and could be terrifying, but it's possible, and we are demonstrating that. That's my history, and it's the story of many young people around the world who have challenged democracies long dominated by a few people, privileged people, the same people in the same seats in political corporation, and we are winning to them. I was born in Colombia, the capital, Bogotá, but that didn't make me privileged. My father is a driver, a responsible man. My mother is a dressmaker, extraordinarily talented. I'm the first person in my family to go to the university and graduate. And I know I went to public school and grew up in a neighborhood full of difficult stories and many needs. I know poverty and inequality, not because I study economics later, because I lived them. I understand the importance of peace, security, and protecting life, not because I make decisions and projects as councillor today, but because many of the people I grew up are no longer here with me, many of my friends. So the odds that someone with this kind of story could win an election and become the youngest member of the city council in the history of Bogotá, Maybe it's not so probably, but we're trying to change that reality. Today, I'm a member of the City Council. I'm 29 years old, and it's my second term. I have won it 2 times the elections. And it's the main reason why I love what I do, because it means that many more, hundreds and thousands more of stories like mine can occupy a space of decision-making one day. And today I want to share with you part of what we are doing to make that goal possible before I end this speech. 10 years ago, I led and pushed for Colombia's youth citizen law, the first in our history, which created new rights and the national system of youth participation, and the most innovative mechanism in the world for youth, the youth councils, that allow citizens between 14 and 28 years vote and elect between them as local youth councillors in all the municipalities in Colombia, serving for 4 years as interlocutors with local governments. In the first election 4 years ago, we achieved over 12,000 young people elected from NGOs, political parties, independent candidates, and with guaranteed seats for indigenous, Afro-Colombian, and rural youth. As a councillor, I have always believed that civic education is the key to confronting the challenges that threaten democracy today. Training better citizens means promoting critical thinking, prevention misinformation, defending rights, working alongside institutions, not against the institutions, together with the institutions, and encouraging young people to actively participate even by running for public office, like our history. With the conviction, we create Más Jóvenes in Política, or in English, More Youth in Politics, a youth-led organization and a training platform in Colombia with over 400 young, talented leaderships. And for the past 5 years, I'm from the council in my seat, and this initiative, which have trained more than 20,000 citizens in leadership, peace and human rights, environmental leaderships, and special programs for young candidates. We cannot depend just on electoral processes. And for this reason, our mission is simple but powerful. It's to prepare a new generation of active citizens capable of shaping democracy and building long-term change. So I want to say to end that democracy faces serious threat: populism, authoritarianism, and the erosion of the trust on institutions. But history has shown that in moments of uncertainty, it is young people who bring courage, creativity, and the will to transform reality. That is why we must break the old paradigms that say we are too young to lead, that we are too young to decide, that we are too young to run, that we are too young to win or to change the world. Our age is not a limitation. Our age is a possibility. It's an opportunity. We can, of course we can, in any country in the world. So I want to invite you, and especially new generations, to take action, to raise your voices, to participate, to challenge what seems impossible, and to prove that democracy is strongest, as I said before, when youth are at its heart. Let us dare to imagine a world and build a future where freedom, justice, and equality are not just words, but realities. Because if democracy is to survive and bloom, it will be because young people refuse to give up and choose, instead to lead. Because misinformation, authoritarianism, and violence are not going to win us. It's our time, and we need of all of you. But remember that democracy not just needs excellent politicians, especially needs excellent and good human beings. Thank you so much.